An illegal immigrant, he can't speak English, no English. So he uses a translator app to rob a bank. What do we got going on here? Let's get into it. Here we go.
The Fox 8i team obtained this bank security video that shows a suspect holding up his phone to the tellers. Police say the suspect did not speak English and was using a translator app to tell tellers, get the money and put the money in the bag.
Been in law enforcement for over 20 years. It's the first time I've encountered something like this, and it's the first time our officers have dealt with it too.
Sandusky Police Chief Jared Oliver calls it highly unusual for someone to use a translator app to try and rob a bank.
We're going to detain him for now.
Officers quickly responded to the area and found the suspect. The suspect said he didn't understand English and didn't speak English.
No English. No English. That's all you got to do. Come to the United States, I'm going to rob a bank. No English. And then he's off the hook, right? He doesn't get it, doesn't understand. Well, that might not be entirely true.
A Sandusky officer who speaks Spanish arrived on scene and advised the suspect of his rights. The suspect told the officers he was not trying to rob the bank.
Why would you go to a bank and request to put money in a bag if you don't have a bank account? What is that? He's saying he's sorry. He didn't mean it that way.
He is sorry and he didn't mean it that way. When you have a child, a 5-year-old child, pull some stunt and they say, I'm sorry, Dad, I didn't mean it. Yeah, you did, son. Now here's your punishment. These illegals know that, they can get away with this whole, if local authorities aren't even able to turn him over to immigration, to ICE, the odds of him, getting on some trumped up bank robbery charge, some judge is going to go, okay, I know you're sorry, and I know you've said that, and I know you don't understand English. So here we go. We're gonna give you a $500 fine, all but $50 of it deferred, and we're gonna put you on probation. But meanwhile, hey, here's your date for your court appearance for your, to become a United States citizen. Here's your hearing date. Crazy. I read this article and I thought, you know what? He's pretty smart. He's just going to fall back on the no English. And hey, I came from Venezuela. I've been persecuted. My family. They're trying to hammer down on my family. Going to go through all those gyrations. Plus, doesn't understand English. Doesn't speak English. But he figured out enough to ask on his translator app, "Hey, could you put some money into these bags and then give it to me? I'm going to go walk out." Poner el dinero en la bolsa. Put the money in the bag. That's what a Venezuelan national tried to translate into English in his failed attempt to rob a bank in Ohio. The suspect used a translator app, which presumably translated the aforementioned phrase to put the money in the bag. Yes. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say this kid knew how to say money in the bag in English? Yeah, you bet he did. The suspect used a translator app, but the bank tellers did not acquiesce to his pathetic demands. Subsequently, the 20-year-old foreign national was arrested. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? He gets released. It's a little bit of probation. Now, if you don't try and rob any more banks with your translator app, you'll be in good standing. You'll be able to become a United States citizen. Whereas in the past, if a U.S. citizen did that, it would be called bank robbery, and you would do some time automatically. But because local authorities aren't really working with ICE, I don't know how Ohio is. How is Ohio on all this? I haven't really followed Ohio. I followed Iowa, but not Ohio. Maybe they've got a little bit stricter law. Maybe in Ohio, this guy's going to do some time. I just can't see it, though, right? An illegal migrant from Venezuela tried to rob a bank in Sandusky, Ohio. Sandusky. The only problem, he couldn't figure out how to say, give me your money, so he had to type it into a translator app. Video released to Fox 8i team shows a Sandusky police arresting a man they say used a translator app. The suspect, 20-year-old Yeon Brito Gonzalez, is from Venezuela, and police say he may be in the country illegally. What gives you that thought? What gives you that thought where you're going to assume he's in the country illegally just because he's from Venezuela and he doesn't speak English and he's using the Translator app? Yeah. Guy's clearly illegal. He came into the country illegally. And then he doesn't have any ID on him? That's convenient. Where are you from? Venezuela. What's your name? No sé, senor. We have no way to tell if he's here legally or not, said Sandusky Police Chief Jared Oliver. But he has no proof of identification. He's got proof. He just doesn't want to give it to you because he didn't want to get tangled up in this whole U.S. law thing. He just wants to skate on through. And he's heard that he can work it as an illegal because we love illegals. And that's what, the media in Venezuela and in other countries as well is literally advertising in their home countries how easy it is to get into the United States. Piece of cake, go on through, it's fine. It's crazy, right? The attempted robbery happened April 4th around 11:30 a.m. A man called police saying the suspect was in the bank, not talking and trying to get around the counter. Trying to get back there and get some of that, dinero en la bolsa. Yeah. The I-team obtained bank security video that police says shows the suspect holding up his phone to the tellers. Dinero? Tiene dinero? Dinero. Sí, dinero en mi bolsa. You see, yeah, bolsa. I can't imagine going into some foreign country. I don't speak the English and I don't speak the language and going, give me your money. To have the balls to do that tells you how little these immigrants fear American authority. Because the American authority, Customs and Border Protection, doesn't have any. They've got zero. They are literally relegated to being Uber drivers. Where you want to go? Adonde? Where do you want to go? Police say the suspect did not speak English. What do you want to bet? He speaks English. He at least understands English. Came to the United States. He's not going to just roll in and have no English. No, these guys, no English. Yeah, that's nonsense. That's BS. And we all know it. And was using a translator app to tell tellers, get the money and put the money in the bank. When the bank tellers refused to give the suspect the cash, he simply left. He just walked out, as you do. Police found him shortly after, where he denied the allegations and said that he just went to the bank and asked them to put money inside a bank. He didn't realize that was wrong. He didn't understand. He didn't know. No English. But the Venezuelan national added that he did lose his job and that he needed money. So, are you robbing the bank with your translator app or what are you doing? Yeah. They must think that we are just so stupid. Now they're letting everybody in. What more could you ask for? Well, let's go. Hey, I lost my job. I need a little bit of money. I'll just rob a bank. They got plenty of cash. Plus, I'm from, Venezuela. They're not going to deport me because, Venezuela isn't taking anybody back. So, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe a little bit of jail time. He's not going to get jail time, is he? Some judge is just going to, okay, I understand. Yeah, you didn't understand. You just thought that banks here, you bring a bag in, dump money in. Young man, that's not how it works here. And you need to understand you've put yourself in a very precarious situation legally. Just probation for you. Be better next time. Otherwise, Santa won't bring you presents. United States government will, but Santa won't. I don't know how things are done in Venezuela, but in America, most people don't attempt to rob banks when they are let go or face financial troubles. Yeah, most people. Some do. Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, right? Point Break, those guys did. They wanted to fund their surfing career. What a great movie that was. It's also unclear how he got from South America to the Midwest. Really? Caminante? Walked, maybe? Plane ride? Who knows? Rode in on a train? Right? The Beast? Who knows? But it's all the same story, right? It's unclear how he got to America to the Midwest, but the officers believe there's a high possibility he did not do that legally. Are you here legally? See, I didn't understand. No. I guess that this man here is illegally. That would be my guess as well, right? This makes him even more infuriating considering the obvious correlation between a lot of illegals not following federal immigration laws and committing other serious crimes, like bank robbery, like grand theft. You're not supposed to say that because it's not politically correct. Oh, geez. Somebody didn't give me the memo. I didn't get that memo. Oh, yeah, but you're not supposed to say that. Not politically correct. This is literally a news story, right? Don't say that. Just ignore. It'll all be fine. The 11 million illegals that are in the country, they're just going to head down, go to work, and just do their thing. Not one of them is going to commit a crime. Not one. Right? Oh, it's not true? This guy's already robbing a bank and he doesn't speak English? I think it was a smart ploy for him to go down the route of knowingly. Not all illegals are bank robbers, but neither is this one. Considering he fell flat on his face, he wasn't able to get it done. But he probably stands a chance at some liberal judge. They have those in Ohio? I don't even know, right? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. But throw this out there to enough scenarios, kid's going to walk scot-free, right? It's also unclear if he followed the other Venezuelan influencer on TikTok who instructed illegals on how to forcibly obtain control of private property. But they don't seem to have much luck in thug life. That kid got arrested too. He's being deported. Yeah. Illegals walking over the border and bypassing immigration is infuriating on its own. But it's the continuation of their criminality and the constant gaslighting from government officials that these people supposedly built this country that makes it so much more frustrating. Did they build the country or are they robbing the country? It's hard to tell. Are they taking huge free handouts? Yes, they are. You know where they're not taking huge free handouts anymore? Denver. Because Denver is just done a hard U-turn on its whole sanctuary, on its virtue signaling as a sanctuary city. Yeah, they're literally sending representatives down to Texas to say, hey, you know what? Tell all the illegals coming in through your border sector here that Denver is no longer an option. We're just no good. You get 24 hours, maybe 72 hours if you got a family in our shelter system. Other than that, we're just going to take care of the 1,000 that we got in our system now. So in Denver, new game plan, you get 24 hours, maybe 72, 3 days, right? 3 days. After that, you can move in with friends and family that you probably don't have in Denver, because otherwise you wouldn't be hanging out at the shelter, right? Or you can live on the streets. Yep. Or we'll send you somewhere else because we can't afford you. Literally what Denver's doing. Luckily, this man was arrested because he committed crimes in Ohio. Had he been in California, nothing would have happened probably, and he would have been granted free health care for his troubles. Yeah. Free healthcare, maybe give him one of those 10K debit cards handing out in New York City. One of those. Maybe giving him the ability to apply for a professional license, like state of Washington is doing. Maybe a car. Maybe he gets to drive around in a legally obtained scooter and do some, DoorDash deliveries. Maybe a little Uber Eats action. I'm not really sure. All that said, if someone is going to try and rob a bank, the least they can do is learn English. Oh, wow. This is Steven Crowder. I think this is the first article that I have read from Steven Crowder. It's pretty funny. They just don't come across the news. And I'm not sure if that's because they are completely blacklisted or what the deal is. But I know Steven Crowder, for the most part, with mainstream media is ixnayed. So that's why when I saw this one come across, I'm like, all right. All that said, if someone's going to try and rob a bank, the least they can do is learn English. Yeah, that's right. You're going to rob us? Speak the language, right? Get on board. It's the United States. You can't be robbing us not knowing English. That's not acceptable. That's not what the Constitution says is okay. Or at the very least, learn how to say, put the money in the bag. That's what makes me think this kid, he knew put the money in the bag. He knew that. If I can come up with poner el dinero en la bolsa, it's just not that hard, right? It's not that hard. Absolutely crazy. He's using an effing translation app. Now we've seen it all. Now we have seen it all. Could you imagine? I'm thinking like 1984. I was reading a ton of stories about El Salvador, about Nicaragua, all the stuff going on, United States government, Ollie North, all that good stuff. It was my freshman year in high school, and I was reading up a storm of what was going on then. I was also taking Spanish, so it had to do with that whole, there are people doing it in other Spanish countries. They're migrating here. Could you imagine in 1984, somebody robbing a bank with a translator? Back then we didn't have cell phones, right? But, maybe bringing in a book with a bunch of sentences torn out on a piece of paper, handing it to somebody and saying, hey, I'm robbing your bank. It just didn't happen. It didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is because there was actual respect for law enforcement in the United States. Now, throughout the world, the United States is known as just a massive pushover, and we've got the weakest immigration laws. We've got the weakest enforcement, I should say, of immigration laws, because they're just not being enforced. And Customs and Border Protection are literally just, Uber drivers. Send them to that migrant center, and they'll send them from the migrant center to wherever they really want to go, wherever their, end goal is. Absolutely crazy. Would have never happened. People throughout the United States would have gone, what? And a kid would have got like 10 years. Attempted robbery? You betcha. I mean, absolutely nuts. But I'll be curious to see how this story goes. I think what this young man did, it may, in Ohio, it may qualify. I'm going out on a limb here. I'm really going to say something that other people might not, agree with. They might have some concerns what I'm about to say, is that this act of using a translator to try and rob a bank may cause him to get deported. You think? What do you think? Lay down odds in the comments. What do you think the odds are this kid will get deported? And then he'll come back in and he'll give a fake name and he'll get his immigration status, through that. It'll all be hunky-dory because that's what we're doing in 2020. Don't worry, son. It's going to be okay. You get deported, you just come right back. It'll all be good. Because crazy story, right? Translator app. Somebody else is going to go, God, that's a genius idea. See, I am an illegal. I'm in the country illegally, but, ICE can't, I'm in a sanctuary city. ICE can't really detain me. Why don't I rob a bank? I don't speak English. I don't need to. I've got my phone. I got my cell phone. Just gonna push that towards the bank teller and say, hey, a key. Look at my phone. Pone el dinero en la bolsa. So I'm going to leave you with. All right. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up with you in the next one. How many more ridiculous stories am I going to have like this? Probably a lot. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.